Hello everybody, thank you for coming to Test Anxiety Management Part 2. This will be about a 20-25 minute video to help you kind of work through some of your test anxiety. Part 1 basically helped you focus on the first round of tests. The second one really is going to help you focus on midterms. My name is Becca Smith. I'm a counselor at the Counseling Center with Valdosta State University. We're located in Powell Hall East, second floor, and our phone number is 229-333 5940. So if you have any questions during this presentation, please call and let us know, and we can answer any questions that you may have during or after you watch this presentation. At the end, the last slide will also give you our information if you need it. Okay, so the outline today is to really increase your understanding of the impact anxiety has on performance. And I really want to talk to you about how you can handle anxiety both before the test and during the test so that you can get ready for the test while you're studying. Some people get really anxious, and some other people only get anxious when they're in the test and they kind of lose their focus, and so their grades kind of go down. So our goal is to help you calm down and also to help you increase your grades. Okay, so test anxiety, why does it affect your performance? Well, here's a couple of the reasons. Test anxiety affects the body. When you get really anxious or angry, and I kind of explained this in part 1, your brain starts to go into a fight or flight mode, and it thinks, I don't really need to think about this, I just need to react. So it sends a ton of energy from your head, oxygen, blood, energy, from your brain to your body. So now your muscles are ready to go. So it's ready to fight something that's coming towards you, or it's ready to run away from that thing. And during a test, you don't want to fight or run, right? You want to be able to focus. So that is what is reducing your performance level, is basically your IQ drops about 20 points when this happens. And so therefore you're not thinking clearly, your body is on edge, and you're not able to think through those hard problems, you're not able to problem solve, you're not able to recall some of those things that you studied before the test. And so what happens, like I said, then affects the brain. So now my body's ready to go, but now my brain is lacking. And so that makes it hard to focus and concentrate. So that's what's happening within your body and your brain. And it's a natural phenomenon. It's supposed to happen, because if you were really in danger, you don't really need to think, you just need to go. And so it still happens during tests, and that's the problem. We really want to reduce that for you guys so that you can get through these hard tests, your calc tests, your physics tests, your biochem tests, the things that are really difficult and you have to focus on. Okay, so handling midterms. You've gotten through the first round of tests, and the problem is, for some of you guys, you may not have done as well on your first round of tests. So this now makes you a little bit more anxious to go into the second round. Okay, so what I tell people is really find some balance, because some people now overstudy and they over prepare and they get themselves worked up, and some people, they're like, oh well, I screwed up on the first round of tests, and they just want to not study or focus. And really, we want you to do a little bit of having some fun and focusing on your studying. Manage your time. Just really know, I always tell all my students that come in to see me, you really want to know how to manage your time. So keep your syllabus, keep a planner, and just kind of color code or write down the things that you have coming up. So some weeks you might only have one test, and that's all you need to focus on. But some weeks you're going to have, Monday you're going to have a test, Tuesday you're going to have a paper due, Wednesday you're going to have another test, Thursday you're going to have another test. And it's like, how do I balance all of that? And midterms come up, a lot of things become due because professors are trying to cram it all in. So that's kind of the timing. You have a first round, second round comes around, midterms, you have another round of tests, they're going to have finals. So people are like, why do my professors test the same time? Well, it's basically the timing of the semester. And so within a couple of weeks, almost all your professors will have certain tests or papers due. So I tell people to kind of focus on studying, just know when you need to prepare. Some people are procrastinators, and some people like to plan ahead. If you're a procrastinator, you might need to wait till right before the test or right before the paper to actually get your energy going. But just remember then, if you have a whole bunch of stuff to do, you can't do any social things. If you're in a sorority, if you're in an organization, just know that that week you may not be able to do a lot of these events because you're not one to plan ahead and get all this work done ahead of time. You're a procrastinator. So you're going to need to know that that week you're going to have to slow down on other activities and really focus on studying. If you're someone who can plan ahead, you can get some papers or things done ahead of time so that you can also do some activities. But the other thing is, even if you're a procrastinator, what I need you to do is really realize that you cannot study cram, cram, cram. I tell people 4 hours. That's about as long as you can go. And I would tell you that if you study 4 hours, like say you start at 8 p.m., you're going to go to midnight, go till about 8 to 10 p.m., take a half-hour break, and then at 10:30 come back. You can study another hour, hour and a half, and you'll get more done than if you had just studied those 4 hours straight. The reason is your brain starts to get tired and it starts to not retain as much information. So really, you want to take that break to get your brain off of that. So maybe go on your phone or go on your laptop and look some stuff up. Now, watch a half-hour YouTube video or something. Don't binge, because then before you know it, it's midnight and now you've only studied 2 hours. So you really have to hold yourself accountable to take that break, but come back. Some people will say, Becca, I can't take a break. If I take a break, I'm not coming back to it. Okay, fine. Then keep going until you can't go anymore. Know yourself, know what works for you. What works for one person does not work for everybody. So some of these suggestions I'm giving you, you may be like, that doesn't work for me. That's fine. Know what works for you, but kind of tweak it a little bit. If you're like, I've been trying to study for these 4 hours, but at the end, I'm not really retaining, well, then take that break. So do something fun. So if you're going to have a lot of tests coming up, make sure you put in some downtime, some relaxation time, or something fun to do to kind of get your mind off of the test and then go back to studying again. So it's good to find that balance. If you're managing your time, it should be fine. It's only when you can't manage your time that it becomes a problem. So know thyself and then do the best that you can with what you have. Okay? So going back to taking care of yourself, self-care, sleep. It is known that if you don't sleep, you're not going to retain some of that information. So people who pull all-nighters do not do as well on their tests, and their GPAs are lower than people who actually get some sleep. So let's say you study till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. You can still get 3-4 hours of sleep, which is better than 0. So I tell people, study till the middle of the night and then go to sleep for a few hours, or stop at midnight, go to sleep for 4 or 5 hours, wake up early, and then continue to study for the test. Some people are good earlier in the morning. They can't focus late at night. And other people, they focus at night much better and they can't think very well in the morning. So you want to be able to, again, know yourself and know what works for you. The other thing is, a lot of my students keep their cell phones next to their bed, under their pillow, and it's constantly texting all night long. People might be needing them at 2 o'clock in the morning and want to talk. If you have a test, this is the one time to please silence your phone, turn it on silent, and get those 4, 5, 6, hopefully 6 or 7 hours of sleep. You can answer those texts in the morning, or let your friends know, hey, I have a big test coming up. I'm turning off my phone, or I'm silencing my phone, just so you know. And that way, if you have some friends that are kind of always texting you or needing you, they're kind of having a heads up. And I'm not telling you to do this every night, although you should. But I really think you should do this on the nights before you have a big test. You need your sleep. The other thing that people do when they're getting anxious for a test is they drink a lot of caffeine. Coffee or Monsters or Red Bull. And those are fine every once in a while. But if you have some anxiety, guess what that does? It kind of makes people worse. Their heart rate goes up and they can't seem to calm down. So too much energy drinks could actually be detrimental to you instead of helpful. You might see other people drinking energy drinks and maybe they don't have any anxiety. If you have some anxiety about tests, caffeine can help you in the morning, before the test, maybe a little bit, or after the test because you're so drained you need to get through the rest of the day. But please don't drink that all night and then expect to come into your test all calm and collected. That will not happen. It will not happen. You will feel anxious, your body will feel jittery, and yeah, you're awake, but you're not focusing. So just be aware. make sure you're eating. Don't forget to eat. Some people, they get so busy, they're like, oh, I haven't eaten all day. You need fuel for your brain. So even if you're just having some crackers or, some tea or just something to put in your system to help you focus and to help you do well. Okay, every little thing can add up. Sometimes I tell people too to stretch, and that might be coming up on another screen. I should probably look ahead a little bit, make sure I'm not talking about the same thing too much. But yeah, I mean, for you guys, I always say a little bit of time. You don't have to go do a 60-minute yoga routine or even 30 minutes. Really, it's 5 or 10 minutes. You just, stretch. You can feel that. I can feel it. I can feel it in my muscles, I can feel I am a little tense today. So, what would help me is sometimes to get up out of my desk, do a few stretches, and try to relax. So before the test, if you do some stretches, say your anxiety, the stuff is getting to your muscles, right? It's all right here. A deep breath and also some stretching can help get that body to relax. That's the whole point, is get your body to relax and get that oxygen and fuel back up to your brain. Sleep can help, diet can help, and stretching and exercise can help. And it's just even taking the stairs before the test or taking the long way to your class. Anything to get some of that energy out of your system, because what happens is it builds up, and that's why people get sore. They get that lactic acid built up, or they get what I would call like knots in their back, where the oxygen's not going in, and so it just causes pain, and it causes you to, again, not be able to focus as well. So little things, guys. I'm talking about 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Try to center, sometimes putting your hand on your heart, your hand on your belly, and taking a couple deep breaths just helps you to center, and positive thinking. We're going to get to that in a minute, and trying to think positive. So these are some of the tips to get through midterms. So sleep, I can't emphasize this enough. Even 3 or 4 hours is better than 0. Avoiding caffeine or just too much caffeine. If you see that, I didn't say avoid all caffeine, just too much of it, okay? And try to eat a little bit and do some stretching or a little bit of exercise before your test. Attitude. This is a big one. Okay, so if I was here on this video and just like, hi guys, welcome to Test Anxiety Part 2. Today, you're already like, bam, done. Okay, so my attitude has to be a little bit excited to keep you entertained, to keep you focused on watching me. True? Well, it's the same thing when you guys go into a test. If you go in the test like, oh, I'm gonna fail, I always suck, nothing ever goes right, I hate this class, the professor hates me, all that stuff starts to impact, okay, how you do on your test. Now, attitude isn't everything. You can't just go in with a positive attitude like, yes, I'm going to pass this test and not study. But if you go in with a negative attitude, it can impact how you read the questions. It can impact how you answer the questions. And so just be aware that your anxiety impacts our thoughts, and our thoughts impact our anxiety. It's a vicious cycle. So what I tell people is, let's cut it off at the thoughts. Okay? So if I'm having some anxious thoughts, I want to stop it. I'm going to be like, stop it, Becca. Stop. What is real right now? What's real is I'm sitting in a chair. What's real is I'm in this small little room and the lights are on above me. That's real. I can see it. You can see it. What's not real is that I think I'm an idiot, or that I'm never going to pass this test. Other people are like, yes, you could. You're not an idiot, Becca. You're smart. So sometimes our thoughts are just very negative. And I'm going to talk in the next slide about how that affects you, okay? So the thing to do is try to get a grip, literally, and just stop. And sometimes you just grab your desk or grab your chair, be like, to yourself, just be like, stop it. I got this. I can do this. I just have to focus. I did study. I'm going to be okay. I can only do my best. Don't need to be perfect. And so, as you can see my quote on the bottom, I would say, inhale confidence and exhale doubt. Okay? Just know that you got this. You're capable of doing this. You may not get an A, but you may not fail either. You're not a failure. And if this class is too hard, there's options. You can decide to drop the class or retake it if you need to. It's not the end of the world. So keep your expectations reasonable. Some people are like, I have to get all A's, or I have to do this perfectly, or they're stuck on one question because they feel like they have to get every little thing perfect. And I'm like, okay, if you're struggling, go off of that question, try to get to some other questions, make sure you get them all done, and then you can go back to that one that's confusing you and redo, and think it through. Watch your time on a test, but just know that you do probably have the time to get through it, and you just have to be smart about how you want to plan out that test, okay? So when you're getting into the test, the smart thing to do is to go through it. Some professors really like to trick you. There may only be one word that makes it different. And so when you're anxious, you just read through real quick sometimes. You're like, oh, I don't know, B, or I don't know, I'm just gonna write this answer. And I would say, slow down, because you do know it is in here. You just have to pull that information out. Slow down, think it through, look at all of the answers again, and then be like, oh yeah, there's that, there it is. There's that word that makes it the right answer, or that's definitely eliminated, okay? Again, if something's overwhelming or confusing to you, skip it. Stop looking at it and go to the next one. Get your bearings and go to the next question. Try to get yourself calmed down so that you can answer the next question and the next question and get to the end of the test, and then go back over the few that you didn't remember or you don't know, because maybe something later in the test reminds you, oh yeah, there's that equation that I needed, or there's that answer that I needed. It's back here on this part. Now I can go back and I can answer this one. So just know that sometimes there's answers later in the test that can help you with something you're stuck on. So don't spend too much time on each question. If you don't get it, move on, because you don't want to not finish the test. The other thing is, when I get really anxious, I tend to want to catastrophize. And I think it's like my brain just goes into this, everything's wrong, everything's bad, nothing is going to go right. And that's catastrophizing. So one problem is hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, this test is too hard. I can't do it. Never mind. This is stupid. I'm just going to forget about it. No. Okay, so that's catastrophizing. We tend to do this when we get really anxious or depressed. We tend to blow things out of proportion. We all do this. We generalize or minimize, or, just kind of minimize our strengths and maximize other people's strengths. So, oh my gosh, they're so much better than me, or they're so much smarter than me, which isn't really true. Okay? So don't generalize, try not to catastrophize, try to stay calm, try to stay realistic. And that means just trying to stay focused, and just know that the more positive you think, the better that you can do. And you might not pass this test. It's true. The test might be too hard. The class might not be the best class for you. Sometimes people are in the wrong major, and then you can go and speak to your professor or speak to your advisor and work it out. Trust me, I failed a couple classes. I still graduated with my bachelor's, and then I went on to get my master's, and I'm a very successful person. But yes, I had to drop Spanish. It was really hard for me. I had to drop even an art class because it was too hard for me. It just didn't fit with my brain. I didn't know how to work those problems out very well in art history. There's other things that came easy to me. Psychology and sociology, those things came easy to me. So just kind of know that not all classes are going to be your favorite, and it may take more of a struggle. We have the Student Success Center that's here to help you if you need a tutor, and really use that before you get into your midterms, because this is after midterms, you can't drop the class. So you have to be knowing that if you get through your midterm, you didn't do as well as you want, get on that, get a tutor, get some help so that you can raise that grade before the finals. Okay. So I talked a little bit why positive thinking can be helpful. Well, here's a little story for you. Negative thoughts actually decrease our ability to see options. So let's just say I'm depressed or angry. What happens is that I see very narrow focus. So let's just say a bear is chasing me. Okay, I want to just get away from the bear. I don't want to try to fight it. I just run. I'm not thinking about picking up a rock. I'm not thinking about climbing a tree. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just going. So what happens is when we think negatively, or we're in a negative situation where we're really stressed, we only think about one answer usually. And when we're positive and calm, we can think, oh, I could do this, oh, I could do that, or I can do this. So there was a study that was done. And so what they did is they put a whole bunch of people and they split them up, and they let some people watch for 30 minutes videos that were happy or positive in some way, calming. So those people watched those videos. And then there was a whole nother section that just watched neutral videos. There was no emotion really involved. And then the other third watched videos that were either angry or scared. So it would bring up those emotions when you watched it. You'd feel angry when you watched this video, or you'd feel more scared. So those three types of videos, okay? And then after they watched that for 30 minutes, they gave people the same tests to answer questions and to come up with ideas. And they found time and time again that the people who watched the positive video were able to come up with a lot more answers. They were a lot more creative. They were a lot more open in how they answered these questions. The neutral people did okay, but not as well as the positive people. And then the people who watched the angry or very scared videos, their answers were very short. They couldn't think through the problem. And so what happened is they didn't do as well on this test. And so that can be something that you need to be aware of. So when you're negative thinking, you can't think through problems. That is an issue when you're trying to take your test. So if you're thinking you can't do it, you can't. If you think you're an idiot, you will be. If you think you're going to fail, you probably will. Okay? It influences you. And positive thoughts, really, it increases your ability to see those options. It takes time to make change though too. So here's the other thing. I used to be a really negative thinker when I was in college. I used to get down on myself a lot. I used to compare myself to others. I used to think I wasn't good enough. And when I started to think positive, it felt really weird. It didn't feel right. Kind of like when I tried to learn Spanish. I was like, this is really hard. I can't, these words don't make sense. And so when I try to teach my students how to be more positive, it just doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like me. And I'm like, it's going to take time. If I was really going to learn Spanish, I would have to stick with it. And then maybe in 2 or 3 years, literally, I'd be more fluent. And then Spanish would come to me very easily. I'd be able to dream it. I'd be able to speak it very fluently with English. But what happened, I just wanted to revert back to English. It was easier. I didn't want to think about learning a new language. It's the same thing with positive thinking. It's like learning a new language. So don't give up. It's going to feel weird at first. It's going to feel disgenuine to say, oh, I got this. And you're like thinking to yourself, no, I don't. But if you keep practicing, I promise you that it gets better and it gets easier. And I'm a much more positive person today than I used to be. And it really did help me on my tests. My GPA continued to improve throughout my college career and into my master's degree as I really worked on that. And what happened is I started to become more positive. I started to think better. And the test became easier in some ways. It was like I was just more relaxed and I didn't overthink all of the problems. That took time. That took years. But it was worth it. And so I tell people, this isn't going to happen overnight, but if you work at it, it can really, really make a difference on your tests. Okay, so pretty much today I've covered some different ways that you want to handle your anxiety and some different things you can do to really work to change it. Again, I can't overemphasize this. This is hard. Okay, if you've been anxious for a long time, taking tests. Let's say this started in junior high. This is not going to go away tomorrow, but you can slowly start to make improvements. You've gotten this far and you've still passed. So just know that there's something in your brain that's able to get through this, right? If you've just failed your first set of tests, like say you're a freshman and this is your first round of tests and you didn't do so well and now you're feeling anxious, just know that this is a new habit then and it can be a lot easier to change. You want to try to go in with that positive attitude. You want to try to go in like not getting down on yourself and not having too high of expectations. Remember, the keys are self-care, taking care of yourself, balancing your time, managing, just knowing what you have coming up so you can manage what you have to do. If you don't look ahead, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go out all weekend. And then you're like, oh crap, I have 3 tests this week. I didn't remember. Plan, look ahead, just know whether you can go out all weekend and kind of blow off steam because it's after your whole week of tests. And then you have the whole weekend ahead of you to do whatever you want. You're done with your tests. It's time to party. Before your test, though, you really have to buckle down. but really try to balance it so you're not studying all the time. Try to do some things that are fun in the meantime. Okay? Just remember how our brains and bodies work. If we get ourselves too worked up, what happens? Energy goes from here to here. How do we get it back to here? Relax the body. Try to think about how to relax your body. The best way is to take some deep breaths, to stretch, to think more positively, and just get more centered. Okay? And that gets the energy back from your body back up to the brain where you need it for these tests. Okay? So just don't give up. You got this. Last thing I want to leave you with is confidence. Confidence doesn't come when you have all the answers, but it comes when you're ready to face all the questions, right? You're ready. You don't have to have all the answers on your test. You just got to be ready to face the questions and do your best. Just know you're not going to be perfect. Nobody's probably going to get 100 on this test. Some professors are really tough. They might even have to curve the test. You might need to go in and talk to your professors if you are struggling and ask them for tips on how to study. Some professors are awesome. They're willing to help you. Others are less helpful. They may be adjunct. It may be hard to get a hold of them. Do your best. If all else fails and you have to drop the class, just know that you aren't the first or the last to have to make that decision. And if that makes you be able to focus on your other few classes better, then that's what you need to do. So please talk to your advisors. Please talk to a counselor if you need us to help you make these decisions. If you're still struggling after watching this video and you're like, I need some more help, please come into the counseling center. I see so many people who I only have to see like 4 or 5 times, sometimes a little longer, it depends, and I can really get them turned around and help them with their tests. So if this video isn't quite enough for you, then you can come in and get more help. I encourage you guys, please. We have so many resources on this campus. We want you to do well. And so we can advocate. Also, some people really, really struggle and they may need more time on their tests, or they may need a test in a separate environment. That's another thing that the counseling center can help you with in order to get access services. If you truly do have anxiety and you really need some extra help, just know that everybody here is here to help you and we want you to succeed. And I hope that if you have any questions, you'll please let me know. The Counseling Center is, again, located in Powell Hall East, second floor. That's our website. Please go on there. There's relaxation tips. There's a lot of things on there that can help you. And our phone number is 229-333-5940. And again, I'm Becca Smith. Please call if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help you. Have a great day and good luck on all your midterms.